I would like to show you how to knit these pot holders. You will need 2 knitting needles, size 3 millimeters, and you will need cotton yarn. I have used 2 different colors, and it's a yarn that will give 20 stitches for every 10 centimeters or 4 inches when using needles size 4.5 millimeters. So I have gone down 1.5 needle size, and I do that because I want them to be quite thick and firm so that they will give good insulation. And they are double, so they are really thick, but at the same time they are soft and easy to fold and to use. I will begin with my bottom color, and actually you don't have to use the exact same weight yarn when you do this, as long as it is about the same, then it will not make too big of a difference in size. So for this cast on I will use a long tail cast on. You can use any technique you like, but then I begin to make a generous tail here with my yarn end, and I have my skein here, and I begin by making a slip knot. I place it on my needle, and this is my first stitch. Then I have my 2 strands of yarn here. This belongs to the end and this belongs to the skein. I take my thumb and second finger, and I divide the 2 strands of yarn like this. I take my knitting needle and I pull down to make a V, and now you can also see I have made a loop around my thumb. Then I use my needle and I move up along my thumb through the loop, and I go to the tip of my index finger. There you go. And I move down behind the yarn to pick it up, back to the thumb, and back through the loop, and then I slip it onto my needle. Again, pull down to make the V and loop around my thumb. I move up through the loop to the tip of my index finger, down behind the yarn to pick it up, back to my thumb and through the loop, slip it onto my needle. And I just keep going until I have 51 stitches on my needle. Now I have 51 stitches on my knitting needle. So, and I'll now show you the whole process of making these pot holders. And it is a pattern that consists of 4 rows that you will repeat. And now my cast on here will act as row number 1 for in the beginning, but later this will be knitted. So we can pretend that this is a row that has been knitted with knit stitches only. And I will now begin row number 2. So I will slip the first stitch. When I do so, and I have my yarn towards me like this, I will not take the yarn on the outside of my knitwork, because then I will get little knots along the side. I want a nice and even V pattern, and then I place my yarn between the first and the second stitch. I slip the first one, and then I make sure my yarn follows like this, and then I can continue to knit throughout the row. And when I knit, I use my right needle and I go through the stitch down and up like this. I move to the tip of my index finger behind the yarn to pick it up, and I bring it, let's try again, and try not to catch any yarn from any other stitches. I pick up the yarn and I move it back through the stitch and I slip it onto my right needle. Again, I down and up through the stitch to the tip of my index finger behind the yarn, bring it back through the stitch, and I slip it onto my right needle. And I just continue. And this is how I will knit rows 1 and 2. So I will just continue until I have knitted the entire row. Now I have finished row number 2. And I will begin row number 3, and I will add my second color. So, and I will knit the next 2 rows with my second color or pattern color only. So I will leave the green color here. But first I will do as before and slip the first stitch like this. And here I have my pattern color. I always hold, when I knit with one color, I hold it over these 2 fingers like this. And I will, as before, I just knit. Again, trying not to catch any yarn that is not supposed to be there. Now I have knitted the second stitch. I will slip the next, and then I will knit and slip and knit and slip every other stitch throughout the row. Like this. Row number 3 is finished, and when I turn, you now see what will become the wrong side of my work, and this will be the right side. So, and here you can see the yarn floats from where I knitted every other stitch in each color. So when I knit row number 4, I will begin the same way. I will slip the first stitch, I knit the second, and I will do the same thing as in row number 3. I will knit and slip every other stitch, and when I slip the stitch now, I want the yarn float to stay on the side I face, the wrong side. I do not want these on the right side of my knit work. And then to do that, I move my knitting needle behind the yarn and I slip the stitch from there. And now you can see the yarn will place itself on the same side as the yarn floats from the last row, row number 3. And I'll just knit the next stitch, needle on behind the yarn again, slip, knit behind and slip, knit behind and slip, so that you can see it still looks nice on the right side and all yarn floats will end up on the wrong side. So I will continue to do this throughout the row. Now I have finished row number 4, and the wrong side looks like this, and this is the right side. So to continue, I will just have to repeat these 4 rows. So next step will be to use my bottom collar, and I will knit 2 rows. That will be row number 1 and 2. And for row 3 and 4, I will use my pattern collar here, and I will slip and knit every other stitch using only this color. And this I will repeat until the pot holder is twice as long as it is wide, so that when it folds double, it will be about square. So here you can see it's double. So I actually knitted this about this long so that I could fold it. But I will get back to you. Next step now is to, after knitting the whole thing, is to cast off. I have now knitted the pot holder till the length that I want, and you can now see what I was talking about before, about the V pattern here on along the edges, and these will make it easy to crochet the edge around in the end. But now I have ended on after row 3 in my pattern, and I will use row 4 to cast off. And as before, I slip the first stitch, and then I knit the second, then I pick up the first stitch and I slip it over the second and off the needle. I knit another stitch, and then I always slip the last one over. So I will continue the same way until I have only one stitch left on my needle. So now I only have one stitch left. Then it is time to cut the yarn, which I have done, and then you can simply pull the yarn end through the last stitch. And now it is time to crochet around the edge, and of course attach these loose yarn ends, but I will just show you that I will fold. Here is, let's see, this is yarn I will use for my edge. And I will begin by making a loop to be able to hang the pot holder. And I use a crochet needle size 4mm, and I just stick it through both layers here, pick up the yarn and pull it through, and then I make 15 stitches so that I get a chain. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then I attach it again here by going through the same, in the same place, pick up the yarn again, and I go through, and then I pick up the yarn one more time and through both. And now I have made the loop. And now to begin, I will first go through both layers again. I will pull the yarn through so that I get 2 stitches here on my needle, pick up yarn again and pull through both stitches. Now I'll do this twice, like this, and for the next I will go underneath the yarn so that I have 1 stitch and 1 loop around my needle. Then I go through both layers again, always both layers, and pick up the yarn. Now I have 3, pick up yarn, and I go through 2 of my 3 stitches. Just try not to catch on anything there, and then I pick up my yarn once again and I do it one more time. And now I repeat this through the same place 4 times. I have to focus a bit. I'm not really good at crocheting, so I don't know what the stitches are called, and especially not in English. So you just have to look at what I am doing, or you can do it your own way yourself, because this is only one way of making a decorative edge. This is the downside of cotton yarn, in my opinion. It's so easy to catch on strands of yarn when you're not supposed to. So again, now I have done this 4 times, then I will move along to the next place, and I will make 2 repetitions again, where I just go through the layers, pick up the yarn, pick up again, and I will make this wave. And when I have moved around the whole thing, you will have this wavy edge, and I will also do the same thing here at the loop where I want to hang it. So I have another option where I have just made chains and attached the chain, another chain attached, another chain attached, and you can do whatever edge you want to. There is really no right answer to this. So I hope you like how they turned out, and that you will be happy with your pot holders as well. Thank you for watching.